Hi, everyone. Welcome to chapter 13. And right now we are working on section 13.13, which is truth in lending. So in this section, we're going to determine the annual percentage rate for different types of loans. We're going to be calculating an earned interest and early payoff amount. That's what we're going to be doing in this section. So the Truth in Lending Act, the Consumer Credit Protection Act, which was passed in 1968, has commonly been known as the Truth in Lending Act. So the other name before was the Consumer Credit Protection Act. So then what are the two major issues addressed in the law? So the two are, how can you tell the true interest rate a lender is charging? So this is one of the major issues. And then how much of the finance charge am I entitled to save if I decide to pay off a loan sooner than the original schedule? Those are the two major issues addressed in the law. Now, the annual percentage rate, the APR, by definition is the annual percentage rate. So the Truth in Lending standardized the so-called the true annual interest rate, commonly known as the APR. So what does that mean? That all sellers must disclose the APR when you ask. The contract must state the APR whether or you don't ask. So the APR must be shown all the time. Must state. So the contract must state the APR. Okay, always, whether you ask it or not. Now there's this APR table. The table in the book relates the three quantities. APR, the true annual interest rate, where N is the total number of scheduled monthly payments, and H is the finance charge per $100 amount of finance. So N is the total number of monthly payments, S is the finance charge per $100 amount financed. So let's look at this example. They're asking us to find the APR for 2,400 two-year-old and add-on interest loan that had a finance charge of 288. So we need to calculate the APR. So to calculate the APR, well, first, we need to do this formula. We look at the finance charged over the amount financed times 100. Why times 100? Well, because we need to find the finance charge per $100 finance. So we know that the finance charge was $288 divided by the total quantity times 100, and you get to $12. So for example, the $12 only represents H. Remember, what is H? H is the finance charge per the $100 financed. So we first find the finance charge, which is H. So we haven't found the APR yet. So H was equal to 12. So the finance charge per $100 of the amount financed, because the loan is paid over 24 months. Remember, this is a 2-year loan. So that means that N is equal to 24. It's more than that. So 24 monthly payments. Now there's this textbook to look at the APR table. That the closest value to 12 is 11.86. From that point on, we find that the APR is 11.0%. So to find that table, I'm going to go ahead and share that table with everyone. And that should be in your notes, in the lecture notes. So APR. So when you go to My Math Lab or you go to your textbook, let me open it up. So when you go into My Math Lab, You should be able to hit e-textbook, and then we are e-context. Then we are in chapter 13, and then you click on the textbook. So there's all of these, or you can go to the e-context and then open my ebook. And then you could scroll down to chapter 13 and look at the table of the APR. Interesting. Okay. And if we want to scroll down right here, we're going to go to chapter 13, part 13.3, truth and lending, and then you could scroll down, change it. So this is the APR table. So you're looking for 24 months, and the closest one was 11.86. There's the APR. Oops. Let me go back. There it is. 11.86, and then that means 11%. That's the APR. So I will share this APR table with everyone, so that way you guys can have that as well. So that was what we found in example 1. Now, unearned interest is if the loan is paid off early, the amount by which the original finance is reduced. So make sure that you understand. So when you pay off a loan early, then the original finance is reduced, and it's going to be called the unearned interest. So we cover 2 common methods of calculating unearned interest by 2 methods, equatorial method, using equatorial method, and the rule of 78. So the borrower may not save all the unearned interest since the lender is entitled to impose an early payment penalty. So even though the original finance charge can be reduced, there still exists an early payment penalty. So for example, people that own houses and pay off early, they could still have an early payment penalty that will reduce the finance charge. But you would still have to pay some money. So the unearned interest, the equatorial method, for a closed-end loan requiring monthly payments, which is a paid off earlier than the original schedule. Let R be the regular monthly payment, K be the remaining number of scheduled payments, H is the finance charge. Then you're going to use this formula, which is this unearned interest is equal to this K, which is the remaining number of scheduled payments, times R, the regular monthly payments, times H, all over 100 plus H. So we're going to be using, this is the formula for the unearned interest. Okay, so make sure you have that down. Now the payoff amount, an installment loan requirement, a regular monthly payment, R, can be paid off early along with a current payment. If the original loan and K additional payment scheduled and the unearned interest U, then the disregarding any possible prepayment penalty is named the payoff amount. So the payoff amount would be calculated by K plus 1 times R minus U. That would be the total payoff. So K, the additional payments, times R, which is R, the payoff, the installment monthly payment, minus the unearned interest. So let's look at an example. Let's see.